It's finally time. The best of 2019 with the BP Hero. Yes, it is January 14th, and no, I don't care. I've been on the work grind. I didn't want to just slop something together and put it out. I wanted to make sure I was going to put together a video that you guys enjoyed. So I do hope that you enjoy the video. Just a few things that I want to cover real quick for those that haven't seen any of these other series of videos that I've done or any of my videos in general. This list is based on only what I have tried. If you want to know what bats I have tried and what I base this list off of, head over to the channel and check out the 2019 Bat Reviews playlist that's on there, and you'll find everything that I tried this year to make this list in that playlist. As far as these U-Trip bats go, I do feel that everything performed very similar, especially these top three. Just want to go ahead and throw that out there now, just to be clear that the top three was really a very close race. It could have went really either way. I based this list on what I was able to get most comfortable with, whether it be how the bat was weighted and how I enjoyed that, how feedback suited what I like in a bat, and obviously how they performed, which I already covered. You don't have to agree with everything on this list, and that is okay. I do a lot of bat reviews, and the people that watch the channel want to know, hey, what does this guy like in bats of all the ones that he's tried? So I put this list together so they can maybe base what their next bat is going to be off of what I liked, so they can get a good idea of what they're going to get. So now I'm going to say it because I'm sure you've all been thinking it. Just shut up and play the video. So that's what we're going to do. Getting things started at number 5 here with the Easton Wildfire Flex. If you follow the channel and watch the game footage that I post, you know I gamed this bat for a better part of this year. The 13.25 inch barrel combined with the big end load made hitting a ball hard a very easy job. Some of my longest home runs in a game and in BP this year came with this bat. Of the ones on this list, this was probably the easiest to be able to hit the long ball with. Get that big end load moving and combine it with an impossible to miss sweet spot. You've got yourself a great stick here. I did feel that the longer barrel with the big end load did make it a little bit of a challenge to get around here and there, which is why this didn't end up higher on the list. But if you're looking to hit the long ball, you got to grab one of these to put in the bag. So up next, we got the Miken Freak 23, and if you know me at all, you know I really dig short barrels, especially the Worth and Miken stuff. I was disappointed by the Freak 23 last year and that reissued highlighter thing, just because it wasn't a true inload I felt, but Miken stepped it up this year and finally put a real inload back in this bat. This bat performed well and hit everything that we threw at it very well. My only real rant with this one that didn't land it higher on this list was the barrel feedback. It hit well, but the barrel was a touch tight and made the bat feel a little underwhelming at times. It felt tight, like every ball felt the same. Even if you could see it go, it just still felt like the same ball that you hit that might not have been as well. A typical Miken though, as far as a quick performance, and still super forgiving for being a 12-inch barrel. So add up those variables, it makes this a must-try from the 2019 selections. The 2020 quote-unquote Dale Brungart signature model from DeMarini here. I'm curious to know how many people I caught off guard with this one. DeMarini has made some noise in the U-Trip game last year, and they no doubt made plenty this year. They had some great offerings, but this one stood out to me more than some of the others that I tried. This bat was the complete package. Had a quick break-in, great performance, and had a great feel to it. The end load was big enough to make driving a ball effortless and still be wicked smooth while doing it. This one did leave a touch to be desired as far as what's coming up next on the list. Had number 1 and number 2 not been such an insanely close race and what I would consider good feeling bats, this honestly could have contended for number 1. So number 2, the Easton Freak Primo Max Load. Listen, guys, I'm going to sound way full of praise here, and Micah no doubt earned it with this bat. This thing was one of my favorites, not only this year, but of the last few years. The inloading on these was spot on for being a max load. The 14-inch barrel was virtually impossible to mess with. You could have put it around in your hands and used the barrel in your hands and hit a ball with the handle and got the same performance. It was ridiculous. And it was hitting scuds from practically swing one. Not one single complaint from this bat. If you're wanting to experiment with inloads or wanting to not play the guessing game and pull the trigger on a bat that you can't go wrong with, this is the bat for you, zero question about it. Before we move on to what could have possibly taken the place of this bat at number 1, let's check out a couple that made the list in the honorable mentions. The Pure Sports Meltron Straight Fire is what's going to be first for our honorable mentions. Pure Sports has made some excellent one-piece bats and dabbled into the two-piece game as well. We got the opportunity to try this one, and it definitely didn't disappoint. It did take a little bit to get going, and it was a little bit tight even after it did. It has sweet spot a little bit on the smaller side compared to what's on the list, but if you could hit a groove with this thing and be consistent on the barrel, this would be a good bat to have. Would you looky there? So, the Onyx bat. This is the Onyx Kevin Bourgeois USSSA model. And at the time of this video coming out, the hype with these things is building by the day, and rightfully so. These are, without a doubt, performing with the best U-Trip bats out there. I only had a couple of nitpicky things about these that I experienced and also heard from a few other reliable sources as well. The loading on this particular bat was a little bit funky, and I've heard others say the same. That's totally a subjective thing, though. What doesn't work for one may feel perfect to the other. Also be aware, though, that these are failing compression fast. They advertise as being little to no break-in, and that is 100% the truth. This bat got clear down into the 170s, and even with that, it hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. There's no webbing, there's no paint chips, there's nothing on this bat that makes me think it's going to give up anytime soon. So if you play somewhere that doesn't use compression testers, grab one. Hell, if you're in the market to mix things up and try something new, this would be one to try for sure. So guys, here's the deal. This Stephen Lloyd Z1000, oof. Listen, people either love Louisville bats or they hate them. The ones that didn't care for this bat, I do question if you were using the right end of the bat. Louisville did fall off the map a little bit for a while over the last few years, but last year they started making some good bats again and made the jump into being, in my opinion, one of the best out there this year. This Lloyd Z1000 was incredible. Everything from the weighting being spot on to the excellent performance these things deliver. You're crazy if you don't at least try one. Long ball, short game, control, you name it. This bat was doing it all for me. I'm not really sure why there hasn't been more talk about these bats this year, but let's hope this video can spread the word and make more people try these just to see how good they are. You put some money in my hand and tell me to buy any bat from 2019, this is with zero hesitation the bat that I'm going to buy and step it in the box with. Great performance, great feel with any ball you throw at it. 52s, 44s, does not matter. It crushes them all. You got to check one of these out, guys. So that concludes it for U-Trip bats. Let's head over and do some ASA action. So with the U-Trip list out of the way, we're going to do the ASA list now. And there's one thing I want to say before I get this started. The top 5, not the honors, the top 5 bats on this list, I could have put literally any of them at number 1 and felt good with that decision. Literally what it came down to for where I placed bats on this list was how good did this bat feel in my hands on this day. I could pick up any of these bats and never feel at a disadvantage in a batter's box with them. I didn't try a ton of ASA bats this year, but the ones that I have tried are in that playlist that I mentioned in the intro. But I was very surprised to see that there were that many bats that were this good for the 52 core ASA ball. That's all the testing in these videos was done with, is 52 core ASA balls. I know there are places that use 44s, but I based my review and my thoughts on these bats off of the 52 core ball. So with enough rambling, let's head over and check out this ASA list. So we're starting things off with the DeMarini Flipper OG here. This one did surprise me. I have dug the Flipper feel and performance, but they've had some suspect loading with their move to the mid-load with these OG models in the last few years. This one was still advertised as being a mid-load, but it felt way more like a balanced bat than a true mid-load like the last few years have. Performance out of the gate has always been good with these flippers as well, but this one seemed exceptionally good and sounded a little bit different too. Sounded better. With minimal break-in, it was keeping up with a 1500 swing 2016 flipper that we had radar comparison of. If you've seen the video, I was very impressed with this stick for sure. If you're a flipper fan, check this one out. Feel like we just got done talking about a Primo Max Load in the U-Trip stuff, but here we are again revisiting the ASA Freak Primo Max Load. And it's the same thing we saw with the U-Trip model. Great performance with hardly any break-in, an impossible to miss sweet spot, and spot-on loading made this bat a must-have for you big barrel fans. Miken and Worth have done a great job with this ASA technology since I debuted it a few years ago. Always good performance and a great feel and feedback with the 52 core balls, which ASA bats can lack at times. This one kind of falls in the category of if you want to buy one bat and be done with everything, just like the U-Trip bat, grab one of these. Ah, look, another one. So where to begin with this DeMarini Nihilist? Man, I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into with this thing, guys. Just thinking it was going to be another flipper with some fancy paint. I didn't really think a whole much about it when I got in the box to hit it. I always bump a few balls before a round, and the second I felt that first ball come off this thing, I knew there had to be something different going on. And come to find out, this does feature a new ASA tech from DeMarini, and it means business. The divergence gap tech that the flippers have always featured has been great, but this tech is next level good in my opinion. The sound is absolutely ridiculous with this thing, which is something that does have to be considered with an ASA bat for most people because people correlate sound with performance, and this one no doubt had both. Feeling a ball explode off of this thing and then hearing that awesome crack echo through the trees made this a hard bat to put down. I almost put a second round on it just because it was that fun to hit. Enough with that one though, on to number 2. So as you guys know, I've been a Juggy fan for a while now, and I was interested to see that this one had an alloy handle, which kind of does deviate from the Juggy signature thing, which is usually a composite handle. I did question this alloy handle here for just a minute, and I was afraid it would end up being too stiff, but that's why we review them, so we can find out. The inload on this thing was super smooth, maybe a touch light, but it still drove through a ball with ease and was able to get some good distance and performance out of it, no doubt. It did need a touch of loosening up, but once it did, it was absolutely lights out. The barrel was nice and soft and put a real hurting on a ball. And as an added bonus that I always love about the Juggy line is the ability to hit a harder ball if you play somewhere that uses 44 core balls. You can't stand around in BP and hit 1,000 of them and expect it to last, but a lot of this new ASA tech you can't hit a 44 core ball with, or you're just asking for durability issues. These can take that abuse. So put you a couple hundred swings on it, throw it in the bag for games, and enjoy. And again, same as the past, got number 2 out of the way. We're going to check out a couple of honorable mentions here and then dive into number 1. So Anarchy did finish up number 1 last year, so I'm sure some were a bit surprised to see none of them in the top 5 this year. The Anarchy Viper, whether it be the Border Battle Viper or the standard model, were, in my opinion, contrary to what the listed specs were, practically the same bat. I felt no difference between the two at all, just for that question when it does come up. The Viper performed great, honestly just as good as anything else on this list, but compared to the rest of the bats on the list, it just lacked a little bit of good feedback and sound compared to some of the others. But the added bonus with this Anarchy stuff, just as the Juggy that came in at number 2, is the fact that they are durable and can handle hitting anything you can throw at them ball-wise. I've hit some really hard stuff with these Anarchies, and they just keep coming back for more. They're very durable bats. So if you play somewhere that uses 44s or you take a lot of BP, check one out. So I'm sure as you saw this bat coming up on the screen, you almost clicked out of the video. Yeah. The Ghost was a bit of a flop last year. Not going to deny that. But they stepped it up this year. Not sure how, but I'm not sure I care. Even being a mid-load, I did enjoy this bat. I usually resort to T-work with mid-loads just so I don't have to fight it and get a decent feel on a bat and get a review for you guys, but I could have honestly gotten down with this thing in live BP or a game situation. The weighting felt more like an old ST100, just as a comparison for some of you old school guys that were around to enjoy that old school Easton life. This felt similar to that. So I guess it could be kind of like the Flipper OG and not necessarily a true mid-load. The performance on this bat wasn't quite up to par with the others on this list, and it still had that typical awful Ghost sound to it as mentioned, but the feedback and performance made this thing worth trying out. If you find one at a decent price and are curious, you do have to check it out. All right, guys, here's the deal. I never thought I'd see the day a balanced bat would make number 1 on my list, but here we are. I'm an inload guy through and through and have gamed one for almost my entire career, but this bat just worked, man. The big barrel with a literally, and I mean literally, impossible to miss sweet spot. And kind of another one of those cases of spin it around, put the barrel in your hands, and hit one with the handle. You're still going to find a way to hit it well. That's just how good this Worth and Mike and Tech is. It is the bee's knees, and it made everything that was right in an ASA bat with this thing. The weighting on it was so freaking smooth. I could do whatever I wanted to with it. No problem hitting the long ball, and I still had control for days with how effective I was able to be with this bat because of how it was loaded. When I mean spot on, I mean absolutely spot on. Like to the point that if you're a balanced bat guy, you have to give this thing a try. And if you're an inload guy, wanting to dabble into a balanced bat maybe here and there, maybe have one in the bag for later in the day or just to try something new, this has to be the bat. I can't explain it. I can't pinpoint it. All I can tell you is that this bat was awesome. All right, so there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. The best of 2019. Yes, it's a little late, but like I said, I wanted to take my time to get it done so I could get a good video out for you guys. If this is the first video of mine that you've ever seen, what I want you to do is scroll down, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. I got all kinds of 2020 reviews coming. I think I got 5 of them shot already, getting ready to start editing those and getting those knocked out so we can get a little bit of content flowing for the winter months for you guys that are all cooped up in the house. So stay tuned and check those out. We're going to swing our 2020s, and we're going to do the same thing about this time next year. That's it for this video, guys. The BP Hero is out of here.